everybody, Carrie Dynamite here. I'm going to talk about the movie Carrie. I've been meaning to watch this movie for a long time. It came out in 1976. So Carrie is very unpopular. She has this mother who's like super duper like religious and like just weird and judgmental, and you know, so she doesn't have a lot already in her corner. So we start in gym class, and you know, people are picking on her already. So after gym, they go into the showers, and I'm like, I'm so glad that when I was in high school, we didn't have like open showers and stuff. Like, that's really, really weird to me. Just like showering in front of everyone else, like, And so she's showering, and she starts her period, and she starts freaking out. And she's like going to the girls like, help me, I'm dying. If it was me and a girl was doing this, like freaking out because she started her period, I would be like, girl, you didn't know about this. You get it every month. She did. She was touching them, and like she had blood on her hands, so it was like I can see why they were like pushing her off, but at the same time they did not have to throw the tampons at her or pads. Like, they didn't have to do that. They could have been like, girl, calm down, what's going on, explain to me, you don't know what this is, like we can talk about it. Mrs. Collins is a gangster in the movie, but anyway, so Mrs. Collins comes in and she's like, what is happening, what is going on here? And the girls are like, she started her period, and Miss Collins is like, what is happening, what is happening? Meanwhile, Carrie is still freaking out, and so she slaps Carrie, and Carrie's like like trying to get together, and she's holding Carrie, and she's like, you didn't know about this? So apparently Carrie's mother didn't tell her about having a period. Go to imaginary world with me. You are in school, and all of a sudden you just start bleeding, and you're like, what is happening to me? Am I dying right now? Like, what's the deal? That would be horrifying, and you probably would think that you're dying. And especially when you have no warning about cramps and the pain and just like everything, like that is traumatic. So they send Carrie home, and she gets home. First of all, the first time she uses her powers, the principal keeps calling her Cassie, and Miss Collins keeps telling him, it's Carrie, it's Carrie, it's Carrie. And he's like, Cassie, I'm really sorry about this. And Carrie is like, it's Carrie. And he's like, oh yeah, so you can go home for the rest of the day. And once again, I'm really sorry about this, Cassie. And she's like, it's Carrie. And then like the cigarette dish on his wasn't that wild? Like back in the day, just teachers just being like in the offices and stuff. But anyway, so the cigarette dish like flips off the desk, and they're like, whoa, and she picks it up. But first of all, if I was a teacher, I would have been like, she goes home, and the first glimpse we get of her mother is when she is like going door to door and like talking to people about, you know, Christianity or whatever, and she's just like really, really weird. So she leaves and she goes home. Carrie goes home, and she gets a call from the principal, and Carrie's upstairs and she's hearing her mom talk on the phone. And so her mom is like, Carrie, come downstairs, I know you're listening. And she comes downstairs and she's like, so you're a woman now? And then Carrie's like, Mama, I'm sorry, I didn't know, Mama, I didn't know. And like her mom is just freaking out. Like, her mom is cuckoo. And so she locks Carrie in this room where she has to pray, and there's like a Jesus on the cross statue with the Bible and a candle. Locks Carrie inside. Carrie's praying. She comes out. She kisses her mom goodnight, and then she goes upstairs. There's this English teacher in the movie who's like sucks, right? So he's reading a poem from one of the students, and he's like, does anyone have anything to say about this poem? And like no one is saying anything, and then Carrie says, I think it was beautiful. And he's like, beautiful? So he like mocks her for using the word beautiful for a poem. And I'm like, Really. Well, the next scene is in gym with the girls who were taunting Carrie, and someone wrote like Carrie sucks or something on like the gymnasium doors. So Miss Collins does not play, okay? So she's talking to the girls who harassed Carrie in the bathroom, and she's like, there's gonna be a punishment for the people who were involved, like, which was like literally the whole class. Chris is like the most evil, she's the most evil girl in the movie. So she's like chewing her gum like really loud and just like, and Miss Collins is like, you need to spit that out. And she's like, where am I gonna put it? And Miss Collins goes, you can choke on it for all I care. Spit it out. She tells the girls they can't go to prom. They're like, you can't do that. You can't do that. And then she's like, well, that's what I wanted. So actually what's gonna happen is you guys have detention with me every day after school, and we're gonna run drills. And then if you don't participate in that, then you don't go to the prom. And so Chris is like, she can't do this, she can't do this. And all the girls are like, we ain't trying to mess out on the prom though. One of the girls in the mean girl class, her name is Sue, and you can tell she's like starting to feel some type of like remorse because Chris is like constantly fighting back, and she's just like, Chris, just forget it, like, let's deal with this, we did it, we have to, like, you know, have the repercussions or whatever. Well, the scene cuts and we see Carrie in the library, and she's researching telekinesis, and I was like, there's books on telekinesis, but she's researching powers because she's trying to figure out like what the heck is happening to her, because I think there was another scene where something was happening with the lights. Yeah, the first time she used her powers was when they were taunting her in the bathroom or in the showers, and she was like freaking out and the lights were flickering and stuff. So that was the first time she used her powers. Well, the girls are running the drills and stuff, and Chris is like, we don't have to do this. If we stick together, she can't send us, da, 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 da. And all the girls are like, so she goes up to Miss Collins, and Chris is like, you can't do this, da, 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 da. She's mouthing off, and Miss Collins slaps her. She slaps her, and it was so funny, and everyone's just like, so Chris is like, she can't do this, and Sue was just like, Chris, shut up. Sue was feeling bad, and so she asks her boyfriend Tommy, the one who wrote the poem in the classroom, she's like, you would do anything for me? And he's like, yes, Sue. And she's like, ask Carrie to the prom. And he's like, why though? And she's like, just do it, please, ask her to the prom. And he's like, all right. Well, Tommy asks Carrie to the prom, and she's like, why? No, why are you doing this? Why are you asking me to the prom? But the thing is, Miss Collins found out, and she had like this talk with Carrie, and she was like, Tommy asked me to the prom, and I don't know why. There has to be some sort of explanation as to why he would ask me. And Miss Collins is just being nice, and she's like, well, why wouldn't he ask you? Look at that face, pull your hair back, you have beautiful eyes, you have beautiful hair, and why wouldn't he ask you? Maybe this is just him, you know, he really wants to ask you or whatever. And so cut, she goes to Sue and Tommy, and she's like, why are you asking her to the prom? Leave her alone. Just leave her alone. So they don't listen to her, and Tommy asks her out to the prom. He goes to Carrie's house, knocks on the door. Carrie cracks the door open, and he's like, so can you go to the prom with me? But he's like being really charming, and I'm just like, does he low-key like kind of like Carrie? Because she said he liked, like, she called his poem beautiful, and then he kind of like a little bit like kind of took up for her when the teacher was being a jerk. And so he's like, please go to the prom with me. If you don't, I'll stand here. I'll stand here all night if I have to. And Carrie's just like, please, please. My mom's like, Kara, who's at the door? And she's like, it's just somebody, mama. And he's like, please go to the prom with me. And he's like leaning on the door, and he has like this luscious curly hair, and asking her. And she's just like, fine, I'll go if you're just leaving now. So he's like, all right, I'll pick you up at whatever time. Carrie knows how to sew, so she makes her own dress, and she tells the mom comes upstairs, And she's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going to the prom, mama. And she's like, no, you're not. Take that dress off. I see parts of your body. And she's like, they're breasts, mama. Every woman has them. And she's like, mama, I really want to go, and he's nice, and da-da-da. And her mom is like, you're not going anywhere, Carrie. You're not going to prom with those sinners. And then Carrie's like, mama, stop. And then she makes her mom go on the bed like this, and then she's just trying to get ready and stuff, and she's like, don't you go to that prom, Carrie. So she makes her mom lay down, and then she leaves, and Tommy's ready to pick her up, and they go to the prom. Low-key, by now I start shipping Tommy and Carrie, and I know it's not gonna work out because, like, why would it? I know there's pig's blood involved. I know that much about the movie. So they're having like this conversation. That's my dog. They're having this conversation, and it's really weird because it seems like he sincerely likes her. And so he's like, do you want to dance? And she's like, oh no, I don't want to dance, I don't know how to dance. And he's like, come on, you can't sit here forever, da 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 da. And they're just having like this really nice conversation. Miss Collins comes over and she's like, can I talk to your date? And he's like, sure, I'll go get us some punch. It's like, you know, telling Carrie how great she is. Yeah, Miss Collins is my favorite character in the movie. Anyway, so he comes back and he's like, come on, let's dance. And they finally dance, and it's a cute scene. It's a really cute scene. And they're dancing and they're swaying. And by now, there was this scene. First of all, John Travolta is in this movie, and I had no idea he was in this movie. So when he showed up, I was like, Grease lightning. And he's dating Chrissy. And so they go to this pig farm. They kill a pig for pig's blood, which is like, really? So they get the blood, and like they're assembling everything on the stage, and we see Sue leave her house. I'm wondering if Sue has really changed. She shows up to the prom, and she comes in through the door, and like she's peeking to see what's happening, because by now people have voted for the prom queen, and Chris's friends, Norma and like some other bullies, are like cheating with the votes to make sure Carrie wins prom queen. And so John Travolta and I don't remember his name. John Travolta and Chris are below the stage, and they're the ones waiting to pull the lever for the pig's blood. So Carrie and Tommy win the prom court. Oh yeah, and during the dance, Tommy kissed Carrie. And I'm like, okay, I know your girlfriend told you to ask Carrie out. I mean, I don't know if y'all had an agreement, but the chemistry between Carrie and Tommy was too real. Miss Collins is like, oh, everyone, yay, I'm so happy that you got one prom queen, yay. And people are like, oh, this is cute. The weird girl went prom queen, yay. And Sue comes in. You see, this scene was really good. She comes in through the door. She's watching Carrie win prom queen, and she's just like really happy. So we know that Sue is actually remorseful and happy that this good thing is happening to this girl. And she's watching, she sees like a rope. She's like looking like, what? Something is not right here. And then Miss Collins sees her, and she's like, oh, here she goes. She come to mess it up. She come in to mess this up. And then she sees Sue sees Chris and John Travolta under the steps, and she's like, ah, and then she's like going towards them, and Miss Collins is like, starts dragging her out, like, no, leave this alone. Carrie has one prom queen. She's happy. Give her this moment. What are you doing, you evil little girl? And we see them, this is like happening all in slow motion. And so she's like, no, like you see her like trying to tell Miss Collins, like, you don't understand, something is about to happen. There's a bucket up there, there's rope, they're under the stage. And Miss Collins like, I'm trying to hear it. Sue is like, no. And Miss Collins is like, no. And then you see Chris under the stage like, she's like literally a sociopath. And yeah, so She pulls the bucket, blood comes down, the bucket hits Tommy, he passes out. So I'm like, did he die? Like, is he literally dead by bucket? So many dumb ways to die. Like, I don't know how heavy this bucket is. I guess if anything falls on your head and you like hits a part of your head, you're done. But it was just really hard for me to believe that this bucket fell on Tommy's head and he was just instantly dead. I thought he had just like been knocked out. Some of the students start laughing. Ha ha ha, she got pig's blood on you. And I'm like, how is this funny? How? How? And like, it boggles my mind. There are people out there who really think it's funny. Like, who would really sit there and laugh their butt off about a girl getting pig's blood dumped on her. Carrie starts freaking out, right? Lights, camera, action, flickering. And she's just like her eyes are like, it's like she's gone. Like, there's no more person inside. So Carrie pretty much kills everyone, and it was sad because even the people who were nice to her died. Like, Miss Collins gets hit by something, and like you see her like blood coming out of her mouth. Carrie starts fire. Things are falling from the ceiling, hitting people. And the only person I cared about was Sue, Tommy, and Miss Collins. I was like, okay, can they survive, please? But no. Stephen King was like, in the movie, they're like, no, we're just gonna kill everyone because sometimes there's not always a happy ending. Because actually, I didn't really care about everyone else who was making fun of her. If they didn't make it out alive, I was just like... Carrie goes home. She walks home, drenched in blood. There's candles lit everywhere in her house. And she goes upstairs. First of all, she should have known something was wrong. Whatever. She goes upstairs. She takes a bath to get all the blood off of her. She finds her mom. And then she's in her mom's arms. And then her mom raises the knife and stabs her. And Carrie's like, oh! And then Carrie starts like walking or crawling away from her. I think she fell down the steps. She's crawling away from her, and her mom was like, you're the devil. You're the devil doing the devil's work. And like, before they were fighting about this, Carrie tried to tell her, it's powers, mama. People have powers. Her mom keeps trying to kill her. And then Carrie makes all these knives start like stabbing her mother over and over again. And she ends up, and I saw this coming, she ends up like stabbing her so she looks like the statue in the prayer closet thing of the Jesus statue, and she's like pinned up like that. And then Carrie's like, ah! And then she grabs her mom off the thing. Like, the house is like on fire, and it's just like, you know, not looking good, and it's starting to collapse. And Carrie takes her mom into the closet and shuts it, and then the house just literally collapses into the ground. And I was like, I mean, yeah, she had to die. If Miss Collins had to die, she had to die. So there's that. After the house implodes, we go to Sue's home, and her mom is talking to someone on the phone, and she's like, yeah, it was just a crazy thing that happened. And then there's this scene where she goes to Carrie's house, and there's a cross on where the house used to be, and it had like Carrie, it had something written, red letters about Carrie. It was something derogatory. And she puts flowers on the cross grave or whatever. And then Carrie's hand sticks up, that it's bloody, and like she's trying to get what is her, I cannot keep track of his name, Sue. And Sue was like, ah, screaming and stuff. And then she wakes up and she's screaming, and her mom goes into the room like, oh, and then she's holding her and stuff. So Sue lost her mind, and that's the way the movie ends. My thoughts are, I don't even know. You know what? I would give it a B. I would give it a B minus because I actually did like the ending, because it was like sometimes there aren't happy endings. She went through this traumatic thing and now she's scarred for life. And like I said, if anything, I think the scariest part of the movie is that knowing that there are people out there like Chrissy or Chris. And I finally watched it because of quarantine, and yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. So if you guys have seen Carrie, go ahead and comment down below what your thoughts are on it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you like the music? Because all that, it was so obvious, and I'm like, why? But anyway, so yeah, comment down below, like and subscribe, and I'd appreciate it. Please tell me if there are any movies, TV shows, whatever, that you would like me to talk about, because I mean, yeah, I do have stuff that I'd like to talk about, but I would also like to talk about things that you would want to see me talk about. Thank you for watching, and see ya.